Welcome to the Authority File, the podcast where you'll hear conversations with academic librarians, technologists, researchers, and authors whose work is laying the foundation for higher education's future. I'm Bill Mickey, your host and the editorial director at Choice. In this 4-part series, we're going to get an inside peek at a publishing operation tasked with distributing arguably some of the most important research, data, and reports available. I'll be speaking with some of the team behind UN Publications, the publishing and distribution unit of the United Nations. UN Publications curates the UN system's global research provided by dozens of UN agencies, funds, programs, and departments. These reports are made available through UN Publications' iLibrary platform, and we'll get a look under the hood to see how the metadata, structured taxonomies, and subject tagging work to surface this vast array of content. We'll also hear about UN Publications' global publishing partnerships, including the SDG Publishers Compact, the SDG Book Club, and how academic libraries can join the UN's network of partners to align themselves more closely to the Sustainable Development Goals. Joining me for this series, which is brought to you with support from UN Publications, are Mary Glenn, Chief of UN Publications, Shalou Thomas-Cherian, Senior Program Manager, Stephen McGroarty, Editorial Manager, and Antje Waterman, who is the Marketing Manager. Throughout the series, each of our guests will provide an inside track on UN Publications' operation, products, and partnerships. In this third episode of our series, we're joined by Stephen McGroarty, who provides an audio tour of the iLibrary platform where UN Publications makes its various reports and other documents available. Okay, Stephen, you're up next. Welcome to the program.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Sure. So likewise, can you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your role at UN Publications?
Sure. My name is Stephen McGroarty, and I've been working in publishing most of my career, starting at Oxford University Press and followed by the World Bank. And now I get to publish the indispensable knowledge and research of the United Nations. I manage several teams, all who are experts in their respective areas: the acquisitions team, the publishing and operations team, and the print and digital distribution team. The acquisitions team liaises with dozens of UN agencies, funds, programs, as well as the research departments of the UN Secretariat to acquire a diverse portfolio of publications, from flagship reports and statistical publications to journals and different types of regional, country, and thematic studies. Many of these publications are available in the 6 official languages of the UN, which are Arabic, Chinese, French, English, Russian, and Spanish. Our publications cover a wide range of topics, from education and public health to human rights, international law, and even outer space. And just to clarify, we do not publish the myriad official UN documents that are produced on a daily basis. We only publish the sales publications. The publishing operations and technology team are responsible for our 2 major platforms: shop.un.org, our e-commerce site, which we just enhanced and relaunched this past spring, and our UN iLibrary, our online subscription platform for libraries and institutions, which contains more than 11,000 UN publications. Our distribution team manages the global dissemination of our print and ebook titles, as well as our growing program of UN merchandise and gifts. My team also manages a subscription platform called Comtrade, which is arguably the most comprehensive global trade data site in the world. It provides detailed import and export statistics for goods and services covering 200 countries. It represents 99% of the world's merchandise trade. We launched a new and enhanced version of Comtrade with new state-of-the-art features and functionality 1 year ago this month, actually. And another initiative we started about 5 years ago is our accessible ebook program. We create accessible ebooks for print-disabled users that can be read aloud by specialized screen readers. such as JAWS and NVDA. Each accessible ebook includes alt text. Alt text is a description of every image, graphic table, map, photo that is read aloud as the reader comes to that image in the book. You may know that the European Union mandated that all ebooks produced or sold in the EU must be made accessible by the year 2025.
Excellent. Okay. So, talk about you sort of made a distinction that you don't publish the all of the content that gets produced out of the UN, but maybe just talk a little bit about the selection and production process that the content you do publish goes through once it's out from the respective agencies. What are the next steps once it's selected for publication in your division?
So many of our most popular titles are annual publications that are considered flagships for
Mm.
different agencies, funds, programs, and UN departments such as DESA, which stands for the Department of Economic and Social Affairs. The author departments, as we call them, of these flagship publications, each have their own editorial governing bodies that ensure that each flagship undergoes a rigorous review process by experts both inside and outside the UN. Examples would include the Human Development Report from the UNDP, UNICEF's State of the World's Children, and World Economic Situation and Prospects from the UN's Department of Economic and Social Affairs. These author departments are located in all regions of the world, from Africa, Asia, Europe, Latin America, and even here in New York. For non-flagship publications, editorial governing bodies across the dozens of agencies that are part of the UN system ensure a proper review process for each type of publication and decide which are formally published through us, including regional studies, country studies, working and discussion papers, and data publications. Internally, we have an editorial review meeting twice a month to discuss and decide which titles are formally published through our print and digital channels or published only on our iLibrary platform. We receive information about publications by communicating directly and often daily with our author departments and by having authors submit a detailed author questionnaire. This helps us to get the information that we need to determine what gets published where. There are times when we have to formally reject publishing a title that's been submitted to us if we find for some reason that a proper review process hasn't been followed, for example, or because of some other issue.
Got it. Okay. So, do you need to be a subscriber to iLibrary? I mean, is there a difference between what subscribers get and non-subscribers don't?
That's a good question. No, you do not have to be a subscriber. Anyone visiting the iLibrary can read any of its 11,000 titles for free.
Hmm.
Anyone can create a user account, and after that user account is set up, you get access to personalization features like saving favorite titles, saving your searches, and you can also receive email alerts about new content. Subscribers to iLibrary are able to download, print, and share the PDF and EPUB files of our publications. And for librarians, we provide tools to help them with their daily work, such as MARC records, and counter reports, and KBAR files.
Mm-hmm.
But the beauty of the iLibrary is that people from all corners of the world can access UN knowledge, research, and data absolutely for free.
Right. Yeah. And this is not strictly a commercial enterprise, right? This is not the kind of content that needs to be kept behind a paywall, right?
Not behind a paywall, no.
Right.
Our content is anyone who accesses the iLibrary can search, find, and read any of those publications.
Mm-hmm.
One-stop shop for all formally published research works from the organization, many dating back to 1945 when the UN came into existence, and all are available for free.
For free. Excellent. And then just what is the frequency of how often are you adding new content?
We release around 50 new titles each month, so that's 600 or so new titles each year. a good amount of upstream work goes into releasing those new titles.
Right.
First, cleaning up and completing the metadata for each title, then performing a quality control check of each publication file. Then we batch the files every few weeks and send them to our conversion vendor, where each publication file is chapterized, bookmarked, and the respective bibliographic information is converted into XML. So once we receive the converted files and the bibliographic information back from the vendor, we perform a quality control check of the content before we ingest the publications onto the iLibrary. We then conduct a final quality control check of those titles on the live site to make sure that all the information is correct and that all links and features are working properly.
Mm-hmm.
However, we are flexible and sometimes we have to break from our regular workflows to fast track institutionally important titles that have set launch or release dates. So we expedite these titles so that they can be chapterized, bookmarked, and ingested onto the iLibrary in time for the agency's or author department's official launch date. So we can simultaneously, with our marketing colleagues, launch our own social media and marketing promotions for those titles.
Okay, excellent. So I realize it's hard without visuals, but can you just talk us through a brief demo of iLibrary? What are the features that make it valuable to your customers and readers?
Sure. So starting with the homepage, users can select which of the 6 official UN languages they would like to use to navigate the site. The homepage also includes a list of real-time updates on the most recent titles added, a list of our most popular titles, and there's also a carousel of featured titles that is also updated regularly.
Yep.
At the top of every library page is the search box with a search engine that is 6 times more powerful since we relaunched the site in 2021. It provides a predictive search, which gives users suggestions as they type in their search terms. Our advanced search tool allows users to refine their initial search between publication dates. They can sort by content. They can sort by newest, oldest, or by relevance, and also filter by any of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. When you land on a publication product page, it contains detailed information about that particular publication, including a link to our recently enhanced e-reader, where users can search and read the publication at the book or at the chapter level. There's also a buy the book link for those who wish to purchase a hard copy. And if you create a user account, you can take advantage of other tools on the publication page, like add to my favorites, export a citation, and there's a link for users to recommend that particular title to their own library.
Hmm.
There's also a section of the publication product page called We Recommend that generates a list, a dynamic list of titles that are similar in nature to the publication on the product page. For subscribers, users are provided additional features. So one is they can download, save, and print the PDF or EPUB files. They can access the chapters in PDF and then download, print, and share them. They can set up alerts to receive information when a new title in that series is published. And they can save their searches and access their search history. In the hamburger menu at the top right, users can browse by content type. Content type being books, journals, databases, working papers. Users can browse our content in other ways as well, by country, by subject, by collection, as well as by sustainable development goal. And I'd like to point out that all of our content is tagged to one or more of the SDGs. We also create collections of publications on topics that are currently in the news or to commemorate UN International Days. These can be found on the homepage or in the Browse by Hamburger menu. For example, we created collections on climate change for last month's General Assembly to commemorate Climate Action Week. Another collection to commemorate the International Day of Peace, which also took place during the General Assembly. Other collections we created this past year one for International Day of Education, another for World AIDS Day, and also World Oceans Day. We recently created a collection of policy briefs from our Secretary General's office that features proposals for overcoming some of the world's most pressing global challenges. So those have been very popular.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, additional resources for librarians and users of the platform can also be found on the hamburger menu. And looking forward to 2024, we've been working on new features and functionality for the library, including incorporating alt metrics onto the platform and adding thema codes to all of our titles.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Stephen. That was perfect.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks.
Sure. You just heard from UN Publications editorial manager Stephen McGroarty. Join us next week when Antje Waterman explains the UN's SDGs in greater detail and how the Publishers Compact was set up to support them. Antje will also talk about how UN Publications content is used by more than policymakers and corporate entities, and how librarians can themselves become part of the UN's global network to support the SDGs. As always, underwriting of opportunities for the Authority File podcast are directed by Choice's advertising manager, Pam Marino, and all of our episodes are produced and edited by Choice's digital media producer, Sabrina Kofer, with support from digital media assistant Ashley Roy. That's all for this week. Thanks for joining us.